Today I'm going to read you a poem called He, and it was written for the sole absolute purpose of performing it, which I think it makes it more special because most of my poems are written for me or for to be like read. This one was written for an event that I had here in West Seattle that went really, really, really well. And I'm finally just now getting around to putting this one on YouTube. It's from April, so bear with me. It's called He. I wrote it April 16th, 2014. I have always been the girl who kept herself well hidden. I let my broken hearts and bad experiences shelter me. I kept myself far from attachment. I didn't need anybody. I was okay by myself. Loving people wasn't worth the risk. Loving wasn't worth the loss. I was convinced that I wanted to be alone. So at first, I had no interest or obligation to him. But he didn't leave when I pushed him away. And he told me that some people really do stay. I found in him what I couldn't find in anybody else. He told me I didn't have to fight this battle by myself, but he also proved it. Thick and thin, rain and shine, he followed through on all his promises. This was something everybody else had failed to do. And I guess that over time, I grew fond of him. I became invested. He blurred my boundary lines and put color into my black skies. My world was dark and empty before him. He went on adventures with me. He took me places I could never go alone. It didn't matter where we were. If I was with him, I was home. He took every burden and lightened it. He made everything funny. He was so honest. He was so comforting. He was so easy to love. He made me feel capable of loving someone I was capable of losing. He made me feel capable of being loved. He was my best friend. He was the only exception. He made everything make sense. And he called me at 3 a.m. once, half crying, half laughing, exclaiming, "Darling, I so frequently forget that we are only 16. I need you like peanut butter needs jelly. Promise me you'll always be mine." I did not hesitate to promise. We had no secrets. I was already as committed as you can be at 16, which I learned too quickly isn't very committed at all because he died, and I fell into a state of being half alive. He was half my life. I survived, but barely. There was no color. He was my color. There was no laughter. Nothing was funny anymore. He was the best thing that ever happened to me. We did everything together, and so everything that I do now is heartbreaking. I don't feel like he's there because I know he isn't, and that is magnified, emphasized. He is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I feel like every building we built, every bridge we walked, every road we paved is gone. I feel I've taken a billion steps back. I've collapsed. There are no words for this. My heart is in my throat and I can't breathe. I don't want to. He was so easy to love. He was so easy to lose. I go to our special places alone to feel him temporarily, and I only feel alone. There is no us or we, only I and me. He is gone. His absence is everywhere, and if I didn't know better, I'd say he were never here because there are no footprints or shadows. There is no lying or sugarcoating. There is no guilt. There is no bittersweet, only bitter. There is no happy ending, only ending. And there is no peanut butter, only jelly.